What's up, fanatics? Thank you guys for joining my channel today. So you guys know what we're gonna do. I'm really excited about this one. We're episode 2 of the history of horror, and like I told you guys last time, what we get into was the Universal movie monsters, because Universal was huge for us for horror fans, and without Universal, horror would not be what it was today. But the Universal world is so vast. There's so many different movies to go through. I'm going to break it down a little bit smaller for the interest of time. So today we're going to go with the first Universal movie. Not just the first Universal movie, the first movie to get away from the silent films, that actually have a sound to them. The first iteration of the legitimate Dracula based on Bram Stoker's novel. So a little backstory first of where Dracula came from. There's a guy named Vlad the Impaler. You may have heard of him. Lived in the 1400s. He was a Romanian warlord. And the Dracula legend came from him. Why? Because he was bloodthirsty. When he was jailed, the guards would find rats impaled on pieces of wood or found them cut up. He would capture them and do it just for fun while he was in jail, while he was locked up. So that was like set the stage for who he was. When he came to power, he used to impale his victims. That it has to be the idea of that is just insane. Like, that has to be the worst way, one of the worst ways for sure to go. But he would do that, and he became well known and very well feared because of that bloodthirst. So if that's not enough, where the Dracula supernatural came into play was he was in a battle one time and was supposedly thought to have been killed. He didn't have a pulse. They put his body in a like a tomb to prepare it the next day to put it underground. When they came to the tomb, he was getting dressed to go back to battle. So that was one thing. They're like, he comes from beyond the grave. Well, when he actually died for real, he was buried, and a few years later, they went back to check his grave site, and inside his casket was found animal bones as opposed to human bones. So those are some of the legends that prompted Bram Stoker to write that novel in 1897. So remember, I told you guys last time about Nosferatu. 1922 was the first. It wasn't even the first vampire movie, but it was the first to try to be Bram Stoker's novel without giving the Bram Stoker and the novel any credit. That's why it got sued. This particular movie in 1931, starring Bela Lugosi, was the first iteration of the Bram Stoker novel. And we'll go through this whole thing. We'll find out some more, but this can make a case for the most influential horror movie of all time. Universal Pictures was relatively new at the time. They were doing decent, but Dracula put them on another stratosphere. And with the success of Dracula, all the other Universal monsters came out of it, and they just got more and more successful as they went on. But Dracula set a lot of the stage for a lot of different things. It gave Universal its leg up. It launched Austrian actor Bela Lugosi here in America and made him a household name. Bela Lugosi and Dracula are synonymous. You cannot think of Bela Lugosi without thinking about Dracula. He set the template for what a Dracula character should be. Every Dracula after him patterned themselves after Bela Lugosi, because he not only was the first, but he just set the bar so high. He was a tall guy. I believe he was 6'4", and he just set a standard. He had an intense presence, and I've seen a couple documentaries with people that lived around that time, of course older documentaries, and they were saying he just had this presence that made you, when he was in his character, you were afraid of him. And you can tell this. Now let's get into some of the tropes for a little bit. Remember how I told you in the silent films they had to use the looks. Now with sound, they still focus primarily on the stares, the eyes, the close-ups, and making the eyes look very, very intense, very, very overbearing. That was the focus for horror movies, from the silent films to, I would say, to the entrance of color. But unlike the silent films, they were able to also attack your ears. So the sounds of certain, in the movies were also big. One of the most iconic scenes was when Renfield, when they heard a wolf howl outside, and Dracula had that famous "Children of the Night" line, and that line was chilling. It was chilling to the bone back then, not only because of that it was just a chilling line, but the fact that this was the very first horror movie to ever be with sound. So it was groundbreaking in so many different ways. So it helped Universal, kickstart them. It launched Bela Lugosi. It set the stage for the Universal monsters to come after that. And Dracula has such a stranglehold on horror. If you took Dracula out of horror, it'd be a huge gap, a huge hole. There's been 97 movies, 97 Dracula movies, not even vampire, just Dracula movies since the one with Bela Lugosi. 97. Now there's also Spanish Dracula. Fun fact, was filmed in the same location, using some of the exact same shots at the same time. They had to film at night, or they had to film like in the. They didn't get as much time as the American version got, but a lot of the scholars from that time say that the Spanish version was actually better than the American version. They went a little deeper in the plot, and they were able to use their surroundings a little bit better, surprisingly, than was done in the American version. I've seen both. I will say it's been a long time since I've seen the Spanish version, so I can't really say at this point. But I can say that the person that played Dracula, the Spanish version, had just a command of the screen and just command of the character as Bela Lugosi. So, that's the iconic status that Dracula holds in horror. There have been many actors to play Dracula since Bela Lugosi, but there's been few that have actually reached the same level as Bela Lugosi. Bela Lugosi was so intense with Dracula that when he died, he requested to be buried in his cape, and he actually was buried in the Dracula cape. But Dracula has transcended. There's a movie called Defula that was made completely in sign language for the hearing impaired. There's a movie called Blackula that's a black version of Dracula. There's Batman versus Dracula. There's Billy the Kid versus Dracula. There's different parts of pop culture and culture in general that Dracula has gone into. There's been cartoon Draculas. There has not been an entity or some form of entertainment that Dracula has not inspired. For our time, for my age group, I would say the closest thing would probably be Freddy Krueger, because Freddy Krueger transcended and was able to get into different parts of entertainment as well. But Dracula was before him, and he's been here the whole time. It's just that we wouldn't have horror, again, I'll say again, today the way that we do if it wasn't for Dracula. So that's our first Universal monster movie. I absolutely love it. It's one of my favorites. And there's Son of Dracula, there's House of Dracula, there's Dracula's daughter, there's Lady Dracula. When it comes to Universal, we think that today people drive tropes in hard, like found footage is overdone and things that are overdone. This always been the case. If you make money off of one style of film, you continue to make that film until you can't make any more money. Dracula, Universal rode the wave as long as they possibly could, and a lot of them are. I mean, all of them I think are good. Son of Dracula is very underrated and may potentially be better than Dracula. I don't think so, but I have heard people say that they like Son of Dracula more than Dracula. And Son of Dracula was played by Lon Chaney Jr., the son of Lon Chaney from Phantom of the Opera and Hunchback of Notre Dame. So, also, fun fact about Lon Chaney, Hunchback of Notre Dame and Phantom of the Opera were the titles that put Universal on the map to an extent. Not on the map, but got them solidified. And then Dracula raised it up. And then the other movie monsters came after that. And it just was a snowball effect for them. So, as you can tell, I absolutely love Dracula. I think of all the Universal monsters, I know he's my favorite. And that's saying something, because I love Frankenstein. I love the Wolfman. I love every single Universal movie monster that there is, but there's nothing like Dracula, and we can tell that by how many times it's been redone, by how many times it has been retold and repackaged. And not even to just say vampires, there have been countless vampire movies that didn't even revolve around Dracula. So the Dracula legend has impacted more than just actual Dracula films. It's branched off into much more than that. So this is episode 2 of the History of Horror. I hope you guys liked it. I loved it. I absolutely love talking horror. I love talking Dracula, my personal favorite when it comes to these movie monsters. If you're new to this channel, I hope you liked it. If you like it, leave a like. Let me know you liked it. If you know someone else that will like it, share this video. Get somebody else to see it. If you want to see more of this content, subscribe, and I will see you guys next time.